Welcome to SRM's Perspectives Live, where we cover the latest trends, topics, and insights driving the financial services industry forward. Today, we're talking about a topic that's becoming increasingly important for financial institutions of all sizes as they look at or growing organically, digital marketing. But more than that, it's compliance for digital marketing. As institutions are looking to keep pace with digital channels, personalization, and AI, how can they ensure that they are, compliant with their digital marketing? And joining me today is Josh Kelso. Josh is a banking and financial services veteran, more than 30 years of experience leading digital operations and marketing initiatives at major financial institutions. Today, he's the co-founder and CEO of CR24, an AI-powered digital marketing compliance platform. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Happy to be here. Thank you.
So let's think, kind of define a little bit for me, compliance for digital marketing. That's kind of an interesting term. And for listeners who may not think about this every day, what does that mean for you in kind of simplistic terms?
Yeah, to put it simply, I mean, I get this question quite a bit. Typically when people think of compliance, they think of compliance in banking at the product level. And I think the big miss is in digital marketing. It's absolutely just as important. So simply put, digital compliance marketing or digital compliance means that everything that's out online for an institution, all its rates, its products, everything that's out there, disclosures, privacy statements, making sure that all the digital touch points, that digital content is accurate, that it's rendering correctly, and that it's functional, meaning links that go to certain T's and C's or buttons that go into funnel pages for a product acquisition, having all of that be in compliance as well because it's out in the public view and out to your customers as well. So it's extremely important. So we talk about compliance from a digital marketing perspective, not just at the product level.
And that's huge because digital marketing has changed dramatically over the last few years. The advent of
Oh, yeah.
AI, all kinds of new channels, video, social, etc. Your brand and your claims, if you will, are out there. And if ensuring that what you say and what you are offering is correct is huge. How does that usually happen today, or how's that taking place in the financial institution today, trying to keep up on top of all of that?
Yeah, so digital marketing over the years has always been a rapidly changing channel for sure, especially for banks that are trying to keep up. I mean, everyone's got a bank in their pocket, i.e., their phone. Everybody's got their banking apps, mobile websites, and everybody's hitting online, hitting an institution's digital content online. So it's a rapidly changing environment. Just a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, a bank has, its main bank sponsor or institution's website. They probably have some squeeze pages and some product offerings, and they probably have some affiliations with some partner websites or potentially affiliate networks where their information is out there.
Right.
That game has rapidly changed over the last couple of years with the onset of AI. So we're in a
Mhm.
mode now where there's just hyper personalization, almost infinite amount, which is crazy what's being deployed right now. And the reason that's a problem is that most institutions are very much in a manual mode for in an operational perspective to keep up with that marketing strategy that's being deployed online. And that can cause problems. I mean, early this year we did a mini report and found out that I think it was 72 or 73% of institutions have a slightly automated or fully manual QA and UAT compliance process, meaning the
Those are
checks and
scary
balances.
terms, Josh.
They are actually. But typically, an institution will move much slower to make sure that they, in fact, are accurate as possible. But
Of
even in
course.
that mode, a lot of issues still ensue.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting that it's we talk about financial institutions managing all their data, and we really need to get on top of it. And from a product perspective, as you mentioned earlier, but us as marketers, it's like, okay, we also need to ensure that we are owners and understand how we can actually automate this process and make it work more effectively so that we can be more effective in driving that message and those promotions and those, those rates and consistent campaigns, and not have that idea of like, oh, or did we make this claim here or here? Where did we post that there, right? Oh, let's go back to the spreadsheet and figure that out. That's a struggle.
Yeah, and even if what we've seen, and institutions don't like to talk about this, but there's errors all the time. They're always kind of in this, break fix, we call it, or hot fix mode, where something got leaked into production by accident, or the
Yeah.
wrong disclaimer or the wrong promo, limited time offer got shown to the wrong segment of customers online in the authenticated state for some reason. And the last thing you want is from an institution perspective, right? Think about this. There's many people in the strategy and the operations part of marketing that work with data analytics and waterfall analysis with the overall objective of whatever that is to gain deposit acquisition or new promo rate on a CD or whatever the cause may be, to spend weeks if not months going through building that entire campaign, looking for certain key metrics, and then find out that an error happened, and you have to kind of scrap that marketing. You can't really learn from it. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. Kind of throw all that time away, that energy, resources, and money, and have to start again. I mean, that's just an internal marketing problem, but think about what that causes from potentially a state or a federal, if regulations were
Yeah.
broke or the
Yeah.
wrong product was fulfilled to the wrong segment of customers or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
the threat is very real, absolutely. And the fact that it's a manual process driven, the old school way to do it, is kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, I mean it's resource heavy, right? People,
Very.
processes, technology. You're out there automating or auditing and trying to figure that out when you've used AI to probably generate the content, right? And develop the campaign and the design and all that stuff. And why not ensure, leveraging the technology in that workflow to ensure that what you have out in the market is compliant. Um,
Absolutely.
Well, how does we talk through kind of like the different systems that are involved in that? You have a, CMS platform for the website, you have your CRMs, you have marketing automation, digital on mobile online banking platforms, and these, third-party sites. How does AI and for compliance actually kind of help streamline that and organize it and bring that together in one way and help the automation of this?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, we've seen leading bank and institutions that think about it as one ecosystem, right? Not independent. That's where really troubles happen that we see.
Hmm.
So when things are siloed and there's this afterthought of, well, let's bolt on some compliance engine on the backside and cross our fingers and think that's going to solve everything, that's really a recipe for disaster. So winning institutions right now are looking at it as one ecosystem and multiple processes that are inside of there and looking for ways that they can use modern technology, AI or not, automation, ways that they can increase efficiency, find ROI. I mean, that's really where the small wins are. And thinking about that, the talking about bolting compliance on at the end, is not a good idea. Having compliance embedded into the mere fabric of those workflows, right? So they're threaded in, and there's all these kind of milestone stops along the way where compliance is a part of the overall marketing and operational process, not just a bolt on at the end. That's what winning institutions are doing today.
Is it change? I mean, obviously the larger financial institutions obviously have, larger budgets, larger teams, larger systems, and broader geographies, if you will, of markets they're trying to reach. And but for a smaller institution, community bank, credit unions of the smaller size, the digital expectations are the same, right? Consumers, businesses don't care what size you are, and like they are looking for the best financial partner, and rate and the likes. How can this, help those smaller financial institutions? Are there different challenges, or is this an opportunity for a leveling of the playing field, if you will?
It really is. That's a great point. It is a leveling of the playing field if it's adopted and implemented and executed against properly. I think that those are kind of some key phrases there. One of the things that we see in small institutions, you're right, their customer base, they all have the same expectations. They're saying they have to abide by the same state and federal regulations as the big boys. And you're right, they have less people and they have less resources. They have less budget. So one of the problems, the issues that we find, and we're starting to find out in small institutions because of that, marketers, digital marketing operations, those leaders and the workforces that are around those people wear more hats than in the larger
Yeah.
institutions for sure.
Yes.
And that kind of causes some problems, right? Because, and I'll use an analogy here. So think about when you're building the developers or the building code to deploy online. So when you have developers that build that code and they run through, make sure their code's right, it's usually handed off to a separate group of people like quality assurance testers, UAT testers, and they act as kind of the customer to like look at how it's rendering, how it works, does everything work appropriately. And the reason that's important is you have two sets of eyeballs on this thing, so to speak, right? Conceptually. So if you
Yep.
had the actual developers reviewing, doing the testing of their own code that they wrote that they developed, that again is a recipe for disaster. That usually where things get missed, unfortunately. So it is a struggle. So I think it's very important for, regional banks and institutions and credit unions, with the advent of the new technologies and AI powered softwares that and automation software that's out there now. It really takes the grunt work out of it for them and brings them to a level that they can compete in the digital world with everybody, even the big
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah. I mean, we, in kind of the conversations you and I've had, it's really, I love the way you kind of frame this as compliance is actually something that enables faster marketing rather
It
than
does.
slowing it down.
Yes.
Can you expand on that and talk through that? I mean, we always hear the word compliance, like, oh, great, now we have to go through all these audit trails and certifications and the likes, but
Yes.
this is an opportunity to actually hopefully help, marketing teams move faster.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a game change, not only from an execution perspective, but with this new technology, it's really a game changer from a mind frame perspective. Because you're absolutely right, and I've been there, decades and years ago, where at the end of all the marketing, it's like, okay, now we need to go through, compliance review and make sure all that goes, and that's usually considered quote unquote the bottleneck, right? It's always been the
right.
bottleneck, and we're out there now talking to anybody who will listen that compliance is not a bottleneck anymore with the advent of modern technology and AI and automation software. You can actually move fast and be 100% accurate. Before that was kind of they were not mutually exclusive. So if you wanted to move fast, you're more error prone. So institutions and banks would slow down their marketing to make sure the best that they could that it was accurate. That's not necessarily true in today's world anymore. So it's really a
Hmm.
mindset shift for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, AI is changing the way that, everything that we do, and it's really interesting to see this play itself out.
It is.
Are there any kind of, real world examples you can talk through where any of the institutions you are partnering with that can kind of say we've evolved from this spreadsheet auto, completely manual to here, and here's the kinds of things that we're looking at now. Can you walk
Sure.
us through that?
For confidentiality reasons, obviously I can't name names, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can give
yeah.
you some examples for sure. So, one of our recent clients from, excuse me, I think it was spring of last year, um, a larger institution, and they had an enormous amount of customers and a very complex digital ecosystem with a lot of partner, websites and third-party aggregate sites. Their content was all over the place, and they had a team of people that would review digital content with various partners and all these limited time offers and things that are going on in the digital space with those partners on either once a year or twice a year, depending if they were
Hmm.
low risk or high risk.
Wow.
Um, they came on board, and what we were able to help them with is going from a manual world of spreadsheets and long email threads and PowerPoint screenshots and all of that Excel lists and checking boxes to 0% automation to over 70% automation inside of 4 months. And that was pretty remarkable at the institution size as well. You know, as you know, large institutions don't move that fast as well. But again, I think having the right mindset with leaders that are adopting this new technology and looking for specific business use cases where they can, you know, low-hanging fruit, for example, where they can go out and implement things like these like this for with to receive a lot of efficiency and ROI. I mean, in that use case that I just described, now they're looking at their entire digital ecosystem across hundreds of partners, tens of thousands of pieces of digital content. They look at everything in their entire digital ecosystem on a weekly basis, and in some instances on a daily basis, because the software, the technology is doing the grunt work, so that
Mm,
humans can
yeah.
get back into the strategy mode of probably why they were hired in the first place, and not do
Right.
the kind of
Right.
manual stare and compare to making sure everything's right before it goes out the door.
Actually, looking at the trends, inputting the right ideas and generating those campaigns and looking at the competitive landscape, where can we win, blue ocean, all that good stuff, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so I mean, is this kind of where reg tech is going? From the standpoint of,
Yes.
where do you think it's headed? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's growing rapidly, and you can't ignore it anymore, right? I think RegTech back in 2022 was around 60 or 80 billion, and from a market share perspective, and this year I think it's going to surpass 200 billion. That's an enormous increase in a very short
Yeah.
period of time. So I think, leaders and institutions or know now that this is not just a nice to have. This is a must have, because our customers are online, everything is online, everything is moving digital. AI layered on top is making things even more complex. So
Yeah.
it's funny when you hear about things, just to bring up a point you said earlier about all these great systems and these, automation and software and these big, CMS systems and the work
Yeah. Yeah.
flows around them. There's a lot of this being applied to the front end of marketing
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of good reasons. But for some reason, no one's paying attention to the back end of marketing. Operationally, they have bodies in chairs and people are falling down and scraping their knee trying to run the race. And there's a lot of errors. It looks great from a marketing strategic perspective to have all these, test cells and all these different, champion challenger and A/B splits and creating halo effects and cross sells and promotions and all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of stuff that's going on from an acquisition and existing customer marketing perspective. But that sounds great, right? It's great on paper, with the whole waterfall analysis and how it all works. But thinking back about operationally how an institution is actually delivering all that, keeping it all organized and straight, and not making any mistakes. I mean, you can see why this is becoming a very,
Yeah.
very hot topic, and
Yeah.
leading institutions are looking for these use cases. Understand that it's a necessity, not a nice to have anymore.
Yeah.
And they're investing in these types of systems and automation and AI to help them bring their entire marketing operationally and front face strategy to forward.
Yeah. I mean, just sitting in a marketing chair and thinking about, the time, the money, the investment is spent, and once it's out there, and it's like you've invested all this effort in making the right system, and you have your database, and going through the checklist, if you will. But then once it's out, it's like, oh, wait, did that claim, do we need to update? Where did that go? And so
Right.
it's really those little tiny things can kind of come back and really, hit you hard if
Yeah.
if you aren't thinking in the right place there.
And it's typically the things that you're not aware of that usually kind of bite you, weeks or a month or even 2 months later,
Yeah,
right? Where a
yeah.
customer sees something or an executive or a partner sees something online that doesn't map correctly, comes back in, to whoever's responsible for the content on the institution's website. That's usually where errors happen. You usually don't see them. At least we don't see them
Mhm.
when, say, you're going to change 10 things on this site, for example, a new product rate or promotion,
Yep.
limited time offer of some
Well, and
one of your
rates are
products.
consistent all the time, right? They never change. So it's
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah, it's a very dynamic world. So you can imagine the complexity of that is only just increasing with digital marketing and layering
yeah,
on personalization with AI for sure.
yeah. So I mean, it's for, head of marketing that's looking at this and go, man, I would love to be able to automate this. What are kind of like 2 to 3 practical steps they could start taking today to kind of get down this path and start thinking through how to be faster, if you will, and compliant?
It's actually a lot more simpler than people make it out to be. And you don't want to just use AI to say you're using AI. Again, that's not a
Right.
good strategy.
Yeah.
Basically, I can boil it down in 3 steps. And when I talk to clients or prospects, um, review, analyze, and improve, right? So review, take your first step is take a step back, right? So take a step back and look at your entire digital ecosystem. Look at all your digital touch points. Where is everything? Your main site, your squeeze pages, your microsites, your partners if you have them, third-party affiliates, wherever your content exists online that you are responsible for, product names and offerings and rates, APY, just grab that entire ecosystem. Spend time to actually know exactly where everything is. Usually you'll find some gaps quickly there. The second is analyze. So now you know where everything is. Now look at the people, the resources, the time, the effort that it takes in a QA or a UAT environment, right, to make sure that what's being delivered in all those touch points, um, how that works and how much time that is. This is actually the big eye opener for a lot of
Sure.
institutional leaders. They don't realize because it's kind of just been the norm. It's accepted.
Yep.
It's the way we always have done it. So that's usually where a lot of like low-hanging fruit will start to appear, and then it's to improve, right? So now look at that low-hanging fruit. And again, don't just use AI or to use AI or automation to automate, right? But be specific about it. So now that you have a good view of your world, so to speak, and you understand the processes and the workflows to deliver the content to that world, now look for the low-hanging fruit operationally of where you can implement some automation and some AI strategic or tools that help with efficiency that have a meaningful ROI for you. And that's a good internal business case. And I've said this to anyone who will listen that you need a good specific
Yeah.
business use case to implement something like this before it can grow. You can't just say, I'm going to layer on AI to everything because that basically accelerates a lot of problems, right? So we're seeing that now with AI personalization on the front end of marketing. They're layering
Hmm.
AI and they're having all this crazy amount of distribution. And again, but you have a very manual process on the back
On
end
the back end.
that can't
Yep.
keep up with that. So I think
Like the Wizard of Oz. Don't mind the person behind the scenes,
right.
behind the
And
curtains.
and and I think a lot of institutions struggle with that, and the people that are responsible for that are frankly getting burnt out and trying to figure out how to keep up. But the good news is there's a lot of modern technology to help on the operational side as well to keep up with the front side of marketing for sure.
Yeah, no, this has been great. Um any final thoughts, Josh? I appreciate you joining. This has been, great insights and a great conversation.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I hope there's a lot to learn, for your institutions and your audience. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to come on, and it's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, no, thanks to everyone listening in. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more conversations on the trends shaping financial services. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.